Right then, this is a quick road test video, and this is for a Honda CR-V 2.2 EX diesel. This particular car is registered, find it, YT14FPN, and mileage at the start of the road test is just 33,636 miles. The reason we do these road tests is effectively so that anyone that's seeing the car online in an advert actually gets to see that very car in operation. A lot of our customers now come vast distances to come and see our cars and buy them, so the least we can do is go to the time and effort to do this for you. We know just how annoying it can be to go and see a car and description says it's all good, only to get there to find out it's got a fundamental mechanical fault, which you clearly should have been told about, so hence that's why we do it. It's also done on these very quiet country roads very close to our premises, so hopefully be representative of what you'd feel if offered a test drive in the car. This particular car, as you know from the adverts, had just the one private owner from new, who's maintained it throughout at the same Honda dealer actually throughout its life, and it pretty much shows straight away because the car just is very tight, very taut. Engine starts absolutely instantly, of course, you'd expect from any Honda diesel or any Honda car in all honesty. Settles are completely smooth and even idle. There's no warning lights on the dashboard at all relating to the engine or any other part of the car, aside I would say from a low fuel light, but that's hardly a warning light really. But the engines themselves are fantastic units, they really are. They're very refined, very smooth, plenty of power, obviously very economical, but they're actually just lovely to use day in day out. It's not an engine that is kind of great as so many can, and it also suits the automatic gearbox absolutely perfectly, and again that isn't actually a given with some turbo diesels, just don't seem to match very well at all, but this one's it's a fabulous unit, and obviously their reputation for reliability is absolutely unmatched in its class. It's a great engines. Engine then goes through into the automatic gearbox, as with pretty much all Honda autos, very slick shifting, to the point of being almost imperceptible at times. Very tough gearbox as well, by the way. This actually originated in the original Honda Legend, which is a 300 horsepower car. The reason being that Honda didn't have an auto that would suit basically the turbo diesel's torque. So obviously they went for this one, and it's kind of engineering overkill, but that's all the better for longevity and reliability. We never really touched these, or we never have touched one. But it's a great gearbox as well, so the gear shifts very smooth indeed. The gearbox also has the facility to change manually if you so wish. Rarely used in all honesty, but it's here. You do it on the steering wheel paddles. Left hand one goes down the gearbox, right hand one goes up. It's most commonly used if you're doing an overtaking manoeuvre. So problem with the autos is that they don't know what you're doing, that they can't see the road ahead, and obviously they want to change up as early as possible, and halfway around an overtaking manoeuvre, that's the last thing you want. So if, for sake of argument, there was something in front now and I wanted to overtake, I'd probably use the down shift one here. That's now selected me fourth gear. I want to go down to third gear, accelerate past whatever's in front, change up with the right hand one, and that's it, all done. You've passed the car very safely. Within a few seconds the gearbox will revert back to manual mode. You can tell what gear you're in because it tells you on the indicator on the dashboard panel. But yeah, gearbox absolutely brilliant. Steering on the car, always been a strong point on the CR-Vs. It's very nicely weighted. It's very accurate, very precise for this type of car. They've done a really good job on it. It tracks dead straight. Sorry, I've got to go around the corner doing that. Tracks dead straight. There's no vibrations at all coming through the steering wheel of the car either, which is an absolute pet hate of mine. This speed, or kind of any speed up to the legal limit. chassis of the vehicle, again, Honda know this market very well indeed. I mean, the CR-V is the best-selling SUV in the world, so they know what they're doing, and what they give you it's just brilliant, really, because it's all about compromise, and the compromise is between ride comfort and handling. Obviously, this isn't a sports car. Fundamentally, it's to ferry people around, families predominantly, and it does it very, very comfortably indeed. But what it hasn't got is, it's soft enough to be comfortable, but it's also, the damping's brilliant, because you go through corners and you don't get that horrible sort of pitching and wallowing they get with so many cars of this type. And that can be particularly unsettling for rear seat passengers, drivers in the front, slap bang between the sort of the wheels of the car. Don't get it. The ones in the back tend to be sort of bounced around and suffer more as a consequence. But they've done a fantastic job on these cars. What I'm also looking for in the road test, by the way, is just any kind of signs of any mechanical issues underneath the vehicle, any sort of clanks or otherwise. Normally fairly innocent stuff, actually, just little droplings chattering away, but there's nothing on this car. It's exactly as it should be. Brakes on the car, just wait to get a little bit further ahead from the car behind, just give them a bit of a shove. It's a really good brake pedal on the car. What I'm looking for when you hit the brakes, it doesn't dive to the left or right, and also that the brake pedal itself doesn't sort of pulse or vibrate massively. And again, this one's absolutely perfect in that respect. Look around inside the car. This interior is lovely on the car, by the way. It's also really easy to keep, because it just use a wet wipe and wipe them down. Because that's the advantage of leather. But it's just such a lovely warm interior, and doesn't always work in cars, because some can look a little bit garish. This doesn't, because the way it goes with the silver trim and the black up there, it just works really nicely. The advantage of it is, of course, on really hot days you don't get those roasting seats, and then in the winter they don't feel freezing cold either. You've still got heated seats, but it doesn't have those extremes that black leathers tend to do. But more importantly, on sort of duller days, it just adds a brightness to the interior of the car, helped by the panoramic roof, so it doesn't feel quite so kind of gloomy inside. I absolutely love this interior, I really do. They're also beautifully made. Dashboard is, there's no squeaks, rattles or buzz trims at all. Joyfully easy to use as well, even though it's got lots of equipment. It doesn't kind of phase you with daunting kind of little iDrives and things like that. It's just very, very simple to actuate. And once you've had the car for a few days, things become second nature pretty easily, pretty much straight away. Also, the one thing I would say is, the switchgear quality is absolutely superb on the car. Press a button, it's got a lovely damped feel that you just know those switches are going to still feel the same in decades to come. The Honda do these things really, really well. Air conditioning, by the way, it's absolutely ice cold, and it's 20 degrees outside today, so it's working very, very effectively. Dashboard in front, simplicity itself, all the information's there, all working exactly as it should. Cruise control works perfectly. Steering wheel looks and feels pretty much as new in hand as well. You've got auto lights, you've got the auto dipping main beam as well on this car. Steering wheel itself, radios are top left, bottom left your hands-free functions. Again, all been checked and working. Obviously cruise control, as we know, and then information display for the main control down there, in the centre of the dashboard rather. But it really is, it's a fantastic car. They are four-wheel drive, albeit it does it all for you. There's no buttons to press. If your front wheels start to spin, it brings in the rear wheel drive instantly. So sort of snowy or muddy conditions, you just suddenly get the momentary loss of traction, and then seamlessly it comes in. The advantage of it is basically that you're running in two-wheel drive, front-wheel drive pretty much the whole time, and that's particularly efficient when it comes to things like tyre wear, fuel usage, and mechanical stress that's put through the car, because permanent four-wheel drive is putting extra strain on the cars. So at the start of the video, the point of it, as brief as it might be, is basically just to show the car in operation, but to feedback on any issues, of which there's nothing to report back at all. drives absolutely beautifully, this car. I've had loads of these cars, so if there's something wrong, you pretty much know straight away, but this drives absolutely fabulously. As always though, if you've got any questions, don't hesitate, do give us a call.